Welcome, everyone, to the Spend Life Well show, where we talk about all things faith and finance, helping you align your wealth with your values. Today, we're going to be talking about how to choose the right financial advisor who aligns with your values. And I'm Certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice from Clear Vista Financial. And joining me in the podcast studio, yet 1,200 something miles away, is my friend Mark Stallsmith with Financial Essentials in Butler, PA. Welcome,
Thanks.
Mark.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be in two states at once.
We're going to talk today about why it matters to have a financial advisor that shares your values. And really, it's the theme that we're trying to convey here is that our financial decisions are an extension of our spiritual values. And finding the right advisor helps you build a plan rooted in wisdom, not just about returns. So if you're listening today and you're looking for help with retirement, investments, or just general financial clarity, the advisor you choose makes a big difference. And so we'll hope we get some insights today from that. I'll start us off with today's verse, which is from Proverbs 15:22. Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So, Scripture highlights the importance of seeking wise, trustworthy advice, and choosing a financial advisor is no different. So, Mark, let's talk a little bit about why values matter. A lot of advisors focus on the numbers, right?
Yes, a little too heavily on the numbers.
Right.
We like to focus on being in the world, not of the world. So a lot of advisors are focused on what did the S&P 500 do this month? What did this benchmark do? Totally mathematical and trying to prove the worth by the performance. But with the goals and values set at such a level with the individual, if it's a right fit, then we're focused on your goals and your performance, and God's going to protect you, but you don't have to compare yourself to the world.
So for believers, money is a tool for stewardship, right? And it's not just about accumulation, even though that's great to accumulate as well. And so how do we go about, choosing an advisor that really shares our same perspective? I'll share a story, Mark, and you may have one too.
Sure.
This is long before I even was a financial advisor, but I had an advisor at a big wirehouse bank that I will not mention, but it starts with a B and ends with an A, and there's a little O in the middle, but you can probably guess. So I met with them, and we were my wife and I were talking with this person about tithing and giving, and we wanted to give generously because we were poor and didn't have many bills, but we just still wanted to give generously if we could. And her response was basically to say that, well, if you're not saving that extra money, you won't make your retirement goals.
Yeah, we hear that. That's that voice inside of all of us especially when you're just starting your career, telling you that you won't make your goals because the world is a zero-sum game. But with our God, it's a multiplying effect. So he will take the blessings that we give. Now, I'm not espousing, health, wealth, and prosperity. What I'm talking about is that as you give, your attitude, your outlook, your treatment, you personally end up changing, which affects the response of others to you in your profession.
So what happens when we're working with an advisor who doesn't get our faith background, our perspective?
What happens is there is a friction. There's an incongruence. You will be, we just had one lady stop in a couple of months ago. She sat down with her advisor, very well-respected gentleman in church. She met him, and she felt really heavy because of a passage she read in Matthew that you are to love another, but do not owe them. And that fell real heavy on her heart. And she wanted to get her mortgage paid off because she was 3 years from retirement, and the mortgage would have gone for 7 more years.
Okay.
He told her that's irresponsible, that having a 3.5% mortgage, you're going to earn way more in the market. Therefore, don't listen to the Bible's wisdom, but keep investing more with the advisor. But when she had talked with us about it, we said, well, your heart told you, the Bible told you, let's do everything we can to pay off the mortgage. Sadly, that's a great example of the friction that's created, and she had to move elsewhere, and with great angst because she really loved the gentleman. He's a truly nice individual.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are some key traits that folks need to look for when they're looking for an advisor that shares their values?
Well, one of the things is we hear all the time about asking direct questions.
Hmm.
Now, that is one way, but I think you can see values more in when you come into the office, when you look at their website, when you have to look at the fruits of the individual. Perhaps if they're permitted to share another client, or usually you come across these folks because you know someone they're working with.
Hmm.
You can get those values, but don't discount both. Read your surroundings, read the environment from the individual, but also ask those direct questions.
Yeah, that's great because you look for the subtle signs, if you will, that someone shares your values. We often will ask clients what they like to do with their free time, say on the weekends or things. And if they're mentioned they go to church and things like that, we know they may share the same values as we do.
Mm-hmm.
Clients need to understand that, and that kind of leads to a comment that I want to make about transparency. Can you understand how the advisor is getting paid? Is it very clear? If an advisor tells you they're not getting paid anything, they're lying to you,
Mm-hmm.
because there's all sorts of different ways that advisors or insurance people can get paid, and they don't have to call it a commission. It's a load. It's not a it's a you have a contingent deferred sales charge,
Mm-hmm.
so they can pay you an upfront fee to the advisor. So it's important to understand whether or not the advisor is a true fiduciary. Are they transparent? And we talked about the biblical values. Do they have the shared values? Are they helping people get engaged with biblically responsible investing? This is a field that's really opening up in the last decade, where companies are beginning to offer things that have been screened for biblical values to be able to include them in your portfolio.
Yeah, yes, and now we have a library available as a great tool for you and I to help identify what the options are for the clients. What I have noticed is that um, a lot of advisors pick one uh, faith-based investment option, and they offer that as a brownie loaf or shoe to fit on everyone's foot.
Hmm.
But much like you pick your advisor, you need to understand, at least on the top, that you trust the individual, the advisor in front of you that's looking at the details. But more importantly, do you understand the metrics going in for that selection process? And does that fit your values?
So education and credentials are also important. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I've earned the Certified Kingdom Advisor designation from Kingdom Advisors. I know, Mark, you're going towards that, or maybe have already gotten it yet. I can't remember.
Well, we'll know once they grade my exam.
Okay, I'm sure you passed.
I took the final exam here, so we're
Okay.
waiting to see.
What are some red flags to watch out for? I know I've already mentioned one. A former advisor of mine downplayed my desire for wanting to give and said it was more important to save. What are some
Mhm.
other red flags to watch out for?
Some of them that I'm concerned about is when they give advice that puts money into the advisory pocket. So, for instance, don't do that with the church. Invest that with us, and we will grow it so that you can give more to the church. It's while that on the surface is a worldly logic, the return on that investment just stole it from the kingdom that you're going to currently get to see benefit, and it doesn't give God a chance to work on it. Giving is one of the only things that God challenges us to do. He says, "Test me on this."
I think a lot of people have that viewpoint that if I invest wisely and save for the future, I'll be able to give a lot more later on. But the reality is, if we're not giving all along throughout our lives, we're not going to give later on.
Yeah,
You know,
I've
we've got the, instead of the open hand, we've got the closed fist
yeah.
of attitude towards things like that. So,
Well, I've heard the adage, Mark, that tithing is training wheels for the giver that you will become.
yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So you mentioned earlier some questions to ask advisors when you're doing an initial consultation with them to get that insight and stuff. How do you know? What are some questions we should be asking our advisor or prospective advisor when we're initially meeting with them?
Well, I would go right to the heart of it. Ask, I have this debt, and I hate to say to make it up, but hopefully you do have a debt that you're wanting to get rid of. But you might want to ask it in a hypothetical. If I have $5,000 debt and it's at 6% interest, and my savings account is at 10,000, what do you think I should do? Now, that's kind of like a little bait there to say, well, your savings is only 10,000. It's a little bit low. Let's try to get your savings earning more. There is a value corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the faith in that statement to
Mm-hmm.
pay down the debt, perhaps take your savings down to an uncomfortable level, but therein is where faith is tested.
I think a lot of people, a lot of advisors out there are a number of advisors out there that, in fact, are Christian, but they're not running their practice or their business from a biblical worldview. And I think it's fair to ask, do you offer biblically responsible investing options? Because there's a number of large firms out there that are even allowing their advisors to earn the CKA designation, Certified Kingdom Advisor designation, but still aren't offering biblically responsible tools.
Mhm. I concur with that immensely, and I hope my next statement doesn't take us down too different of a path. But I had a treasurer for a church come in here. She had just taken over for a previous one, and I looked at the investments, and they were in biblically responsible investment sleeves, 100% equities for a church. The graph of the history of this account, you can imagine, had some wild downtimes. More recently, had some wonderful upswings.
Mm-hmm.
So not only biblically responsible investing, but know who you're sitting in front of so that they're constructing something that really will meet your goals and your comfort levels with risk.
I mean, and a good advisor is not going to shy away from these types of questions and things in these
No,
conversations.
not at all.
You want someone that's going to be willing to take the time and have the patience to educate you. A common phrase sometimes I hear, or quite a bit, is, "I don't know anything about this stuff, so please forgive my dumb question." It's like, no, this is not a dumb question. This is a great
Yeah.
question. You want to work with someone that's willing to show patience to help you understand, to help you learn, and to help us to be a good steward. So, as we run out of time here, Mark, let's have some closing thoughts here. I think you mentioned that finding the right advisor is about more than just the numbers. It's about trust and shared values and a clear vision. What else can you think of? And when someone understands your financial goals, they also need to understand your spiritual goals.
Not only their spiritual goals, but they have to understand the family behind them. Collect a advisor of this nature is going to be collecting the children's story as the parents share it. What is going on? What's happening in their lives, and probing for those areas where they might be able to provide some wisdom and education to that next generation so that they're raised up to handle wealth potentially in the future. So caring about the entire family seems to me something that, well, I don't remember receiving that training any of the years that I went to any seminars. It was always about, get the dollars from the person that's in front of you. So what do you do when you probe for the children? Are you looking for like special needs? Are you looking what things do you look for, Mark,
Well,
when you're
I
talking?
I want to understand all about their family. I want to I want to know what's important to them. And if the person you're talking with is not concerned about your goals and your values and are focused on getting you into a product, that's not the right fit. I don't know that that's a good situation at all. But
Isn't that how those dinner seminars a lot of time are run?
oh, of course,
So
and
that
I've done plenty of them. But it's still all about the approach when you sit down with the advisor one on one. The types of questions they ask, the types of questions you ask. If you're not getting a good feeling from that conversation, maybe it's time to look at something else or have a second opinion somewhere. And those are things actually, Mark, that both you and I can help with. For folks that if you're in the Pennsylvania area, Mark is a great advisor. His team can help you with a number of different things. Of course, we are here in Texas. But as always, if you have questions, you can text us on our dedicated text line, which is 254-282-0495. 254-282-0495. If you have a question for Mark Stallsmith, we'll get that to him and have him respond to you. And as always, you can find more information about our podcast at clearvistafinancial.com. And if you go up to the resources tab, you can see our YouTube channel and a podcast. Of course, you can listen to podcasts wherever you get your podcast for the Spend Life Well show. Folks, don't settle for generic advice. Find someone who sees your finances through the same lens you do. So, Mark, thank you so much for participating. We'll have you on again. I think you're okay. We'll let you be a guest some other times as well. But for folks, for now, you've been listening to the Spend Life Well show. Have a great day.
Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in the show should not be construed as recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions.